Hi there folks, and welcome to the What Solutions for this week's the Daily Rigour issue number 54. So the vacancies in our GP practices made the news this week, certainly in Scotland. So for a wee health story, it's reporting that 1 in 4 GP practices in Scotland has a vacancy. So if there's approximately 960 GP practices in Scotland, roughly how many vacancies are there? So that's a nice easy one to start with. So 1 in 4, it's a quarter. So to find the number of vacancies, we're going to divide 960 by 4. You can either use a calculator, do it mentally, or do a wee sum. By the way, you should have got 240 vacancies. So there you have it, kids. If you want to be a doctor when you leave school, go for it, because you just might get a job at the end of it. Okay, so we got a wee, it was supposed to be a humorous story from the USA now. Obviously we don't condone speeding, it's totally unacceptable. But if anyone's familiar here with the DeLorean sports car from Back to the Future, so the theory was if you had a flux capacitor and you could get it up to 88 miles per hour, then in fact you could travel into the future, or you could travel back in time. So you could do a wee bit of time travelling. So there's this irresponsible driver, Spencer White, had a DeLorean and managed to get it up to 88 miles per hour, and he didn't manage to time travel, but what he did manage to get was a $360 speeding ticket. So part A, what is the speed limit for a Californian highway? So that's quite straightforward. So White was travelling 23 miles per hour over the speed limit. So to get the speed limit, you just take 23 away from his speed, which was 88. So on a Californian highway, the speed limit is 65 miles per hour. Okay, so what's the minimum speed that you can be charged for reckless driving in California? So he was only travelling 7 miles under this minimum speed for reckless driving, so we've got to add the 7 on to his speed of 88. So the minimum speed you can get done for reckless driving in California is 95 miles per hour, a totally reckless driving speed. Okay, so on to housing now. So obviously there's a shortage of houses across Britain, so one solution is to buy an 11-storey block in North London and develop it into tiny flats. And there's actually a wee loophole here, because if you build a new flat, and the minimum space it can have, the minimum floor space it can have is 37 metres squared, but because you're renovating an old building, these rules don't apply. So there's a wee loophole there, but what we're wanting to know is this flat of a legal size for a new build? So we need to work out the area of this composite shape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to work out the area of this big rectangle here, and of course that's going to be length times breadth. So we know that this is 3.2, and the total length of it is going to be 3.5 add 2, so that's going to be 5.5. So we could do length times breadth, 5.5 times 3.2 to get 17.6 metres squared. But to get the area of this composite shape, I can just get the area of this little rectangle here and take it away from that big area. So we know that this is 2, but what about this here? Well, we know that the total height is 3.2 and that this is 2.4. So if we take the 2.4 off the 3.2, this length here would then be 0.8. So we do 2 times 0.8 length times breadth, which gives us 1.6 metres squared. And as I said, to get the flat floor space, we just take the small area off of the big area to get an answer of 16 metres squared. Also, you could have got the area of this one and the area of this one and added them together, but if you did that, you still would have got 16 metres squared. So is this flat of a legal size? The answer is no, it isn't, and of course the reason is because 16 metres squared is less than 37 metres squared. But as I said, there's a wee loophole there that allows them to get away with it. But I suppose that poses the question, could you comfortably live in a space like this? I don't think so. Where does the couch go, for one? Anyway, on to our last story. We've got a sports story here. So we've got Russian football team, SKA Khabarovsk, and they've reached the Russian Premier League, but what that's doing is it's creating a lot of logistical nightmares for the matches next year, because many of the Russian football teams are in Moscow, and as you can see, Khabarovsk is over here, and that's all the way across Russia. It's an 11,000 mile round trip. So there are approximately 1.6 kilometres in a mile. How far from Moscow is Khabarovsk? Give your answer in kilometres. Well, first of all, we need to get the distance from Moscow to Khabarovsk. It's not 11,000 miles because that's the round trip, so that's there and back. So the distance between Moscow and Khabarovsk is half this distance, so it's 5,500 miles away. And to change the 5,500 miles into kilometres, all we have to do is multiply by 1.6. So that gives us an answer of 8,800 kilometres distance just to get to a football match. I'm not sure there'll be many supporters taking that trip unless they want to book a fortnight off work, of course. Anyway, folks, that was our What Solutions for the Daily Rigour issue number 54. Hope you found that useful and interesting. Stay tuned for next week's edition when we're going to be looking at more stories from the news of the week and the numbers behind them. But in the meantime, thanks for watching and bye for now.